becoming is better than being. And that is why we consider ourselves to be a work in progress.
Yeah.
It means that you are never complete, and it gives you the opportunity to become someone or something better.
It allows you the ability to be comfortable with making mistakes and accepting yourself for who you are.
Yes, we are a work in progress. Hi, I'm AX.
I am GW.
And I am Kusem.
Hi, guys.
Welcome to the show, guys.
Okay.
So today is a special day, I would like to say.
Okay.
And we know it's also a special month.
Yes.
Aside from Valentine's Day, it is also Black History Month. And, you know, in the grand scheme of things, we decided to make things a bit light to start us off. X, would you like to introduce our first segment?
Yes, of course. So have you guys ever done drama in school? Or was I like the musical theatre?
I acted in one play before, so I think
this
that
is why we
counts.
get along.
I used to watch drama in school, so
Like what
Oh,
drama?
no.
Like in the theatre?
Or like
theatre.
the
Or in
drama
the- or
that
in
you
the classroom.
started between your classmates.
both.
Ah,
Both, yeah.
Jesus. Okay, so this is one of the games that we used to play in my drama class to help warm us up. And basically, we're going to work together to tell a story.
Alright.
Our lovely producer, Anna, who's sitting wonderfully behind the scenes, has given us a theme that we will base our story on. Each of us gets one sentence, and we move on to the next person. And if you deviate from the theme, that's it, you're out, we start again.
Okay.
All right, so the theme is Black History.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
So
Kusem,
guys,
are
can I
ready?
kick you off?
Yes.
This black inventor was the greatest inventor of all time.
Damn.
He was so great because he had invented a new way to sit.
And we all know that people like to sit.
Cheater.
Eventually, he sat so much that he developed bed sores and died in bed.
Unfortunately, his invention could not help him.
But the scientific community learned from his mistakes.
And to date, the entire community thanks him for his great sacrifice to humankind. Thank you, guys.
Yes!
I think I've won. It took too long thinking.
No,
I won.
the first sentence was so heavy. I was not ready for that.
I just decided to go dark, and that's what I did. So, okay, maybe for the second version,
Yeah?
you start us off.
No. GW, please go.
Okay.
Okay. I'll cheat a bit because I'll use something that I've heard before.
Okay.
Okay. Once upon a time, there lived a young man.
This young man was black as all could be.
And he enjoyed living in the plantations and working in the plantations every day.
On one of those hot summer days, his master came through to the fields.
His master had something to drink and was a little bit angry with him.
Through this anger, the boy started thinking of how he could liberate himself and his family.
Okay, sis.
But the one thing he always remembered is the crack of the whip.
And he could remember this crack as the master walked towards him, step by step, inch by inch, the crack ringing in his ears the entire time.
The crack notwithstanding, the boy decided to go back to his cottage, pack up a few clothes, and then hopped onto his master's horse and took off.
The master, in shock and disbelief, shouted, "Where you going, boy?"
But this man could not hear the master, for he had ridden his horse a really long way away.
But then the boy had to come back because the master took the parents and started whipping them.
Jesus.
No.
I'm saying that I'm going back, but right now I just want to win. That's my motivation.
I think we can
I think
close it
no.
on that round.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So since Chris has closed this game, X, would you please lead us into our discussion for today?
Oh my goodness, why? Why?
I didn't intend to go that dark.
It was too
So
dark.
I apologize to my people. I didn't mean it.
Okay, so in this discussion segment, we're going to delve a little bit deeper into the theme of Black History Month.
Yes. Yeah.
So for the unaware, Black History Month is a month in the US that typically celebrates Black history and Black contributions to US culture and history. And the theme for this year's Black History Month is health and wellness.
Okay.
Therefore, today I want us to have a discussion, right, about a lot of things, but primarily how, or rather, do you guys think that the global health system, or rather health in general, benefits from Black bodies, but does not include us in the solutions, does not give us the solutions. For example, with the COVID-19 vaccine, some of the vaccine was trialed here in Kenya, but we were some of the last people to receive the vaccine. Do you guys think that is right? Do you guys think that is fair? Do you guys agree with that? Tell me, what do you guys think?
Okay, Chris, do you want to start? Because I'm going to go a bit left.
Just take it. Just take it.
I take it. Thank you very much for giving the floor. So I was reading something online on my Facebook, and I'll credit, I think it's a studio or like a production company called Hubs Grove. It's a bit long, but I'll try to read through it a bit quick. But to connect it to what you're asking about, is what these countries have done right? Just listen. So you mean to tell me that someone down your ancestry line survived being chained to other human bodies for several months in the bottom of a disease-infected ship during the Middle Passage, lost their language, customs, traditions, picked up the English language as best as they could while working free of charge from sun up to sundown, and watched babies sold out from their own arms, women and children used by ruthless slave owners. Took no names, no birth certificates, no heritage. They braved the Underground Railroad, survived. They fought wars as soldiers. They've been used, as you're saying, for studies. How dare you entertain the thought of quitting? People will never know that we came from a generation of survivors. It is not in our DNA to quit. The African story, in terms of your question, is not quitting. And that's why all of these advancements, I think, have been made because of that gene, that DNA gene of not quitting, of persevering.
Wait, so you're suggesting, if I get this right, that it is best for the system to use our bodies because we are much more resilient?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what to make of that.
I'm not hating it. I'm not hating it.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, there's some tests that are being done, especially during COVID. There's this thing called, I think, oximeter or something that treats the oxygen levels in your blood. And I think that machine, the way it treats oxygen levels in a white man and a black man was a bit different because of the melanin and all that good stuff, right? So them using the black man to do their tests, they maybe curate that medicine more towards the male or the black body better. And that's why in Africa, when we get medicine from abroad, number one, it works just like a charm. I feel. We have also medicine from here, but I don't think them using black people is a bad thing. It's not a bad thing because... Okay.
No, continue.
No, I'm saying it's not a bad thing.
I have examples.
It's not a bad thing.
Case by case basis.
Unless you're abusing people, because these medical trials, they are more voluntary.
Yeah.
You say,
you come get some money.
We need X number of people, come do this drug test, whatever. You need black people, for example. If you're a black person and don't feel comfortable, don't go. Okay,
so on the subject of volunteering, I think we're going to shelve that for now. I want to bring it in at a later point. But based on both of what you guys have said, do you guys agree with a French journalist who argued that COVID-19 vaccine should be tested on Africans?
Yes.
Funny enough, yes. I'm agreeing with you, Chris, today.
Yeah. Am I the only one that... No!
Well, okay, what's wrong with them testing it on Africans?
Because the European powers in particular have a very long history of using our bodies to test medicines that they want to use at home and then denying us access to those very same medications. In fact, there was a British physician at Oxford University in 1955 who said, and I quote, who basically treated African bodies and African subjects as just test subjects, not people who are genuinely sick and want to be healed, but treated them as just this mechanic part of the scientific process, right? So I do find it a bit weird that a French journalist is out there saying, hey, you know what, Africans, you take the L for us, the potential L for us, and we'll take the win. How's that fair?
You know, the African body is very hardy, right? It's very, very resistant. It's very, I don't want to say complex, but our bodies are very, compared to a white man, we are more resistant to diseases.
But that same logic is what justified masters like using violence to discipline black slaves.
Well, that's one thing, and we're talking about another thing here. People can abuse things, yeah. But I'm saying when you're creating medicine, I'd rather you create a medicine that is strong enough to cure me, as opposed to them using the white people and maybe the medicine is a bit mild. Yeah. Then you bring it here and you're like, oh, these people are giving us defective medicine and all that. Use black people. Next time you have a medical trial, use me. I'm okay. I'll sacrifice myself
The
for
part
the
I
betterment
agree with
of
you
many.
is access, and I tried to find a few stories of people who have pushed forward, like, black advancements. So the practice of vaccinations was brought to America by a slave.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the recent vaccinating spread of COVID, we know like life-saving vaccines is like, the tune of the day. So this man was called Onesimus. I think it's called Onesimus. I'm being so serious. So Onesimus was purchased in 1706 for Cotton Mather, a prominent Puritan minister. The mother held a great distrust for Onesimus. He knew that the man was clever. Amid the spreading sickness, Onesimus confided to Mother about the practice of inoculations, which had been used in Africa for centuries. Mother brought this vital information to Dr. Bolliston, who, despite the major pushback against the idea, managed to successfully inoculate 250 people. So they should really thank us, basically, because we brought it to them.
So that's why they didn't test it on us, because it's something you were doing.
Like, originally.
I mean, yeah, thank you, Ones. So, I mean, so that's why they look at us and say, let's use these people. They are used to this. They are more whatever. I mean, sounds bad, but.
Okay, but I feel like I'm not. No, my brain is breaking. Just no.
Would you be okay with them doing those tests on European people?
Pretty much, yeah.
Why? Are European not human beings as well?
They're also human beings, but you have to understand that when you're interacting and engaging with, quote unquote, the third world, a world that you have previously dominated, there are power structures there that create imbalances between the West and the rest of us. And those power imbalances always tinge the interactions between us, because it basically suggests that you're coming, based on your history, you're coming here to take something from us, and we don't have a say in it. Time and time again, that's the way it's always felt. That's the way those interactions have always felt. So I can understand lots of populations being wary. In fact, I think one of the big reasons why Kenyans have vaccine hesitancy is because of that fear of being exploited again. Like, we don't know if you're just coming here to test it on us again. We don't know. They're not. Please get vaccinated and get your boosters. They're not. But I understand where you're coming from.
The thing about living in this global village now, like the times live in, is that eventually we're going to have to borrow from one country or another, borrow the ideas, borrow the medicine, and we just have to learn to forget like sins like of the past eventually.
So I think one way we can solve this whole issue is what Africa has decided to do by building our own labs and manufacturing our own vaccines. Now, when the African CDC said they'll build, I think like five major labs in East, West, Central, West, and North and South Africa. That's a way of us telling the Western countries, stay away, we'll create our own things, we'll do tests on our own bodies and all that. So until that is done, we have to kind of be beholden to the white man. But now that I think the AU has decided to, no, we'll take charge and we'll do our things our own way. And that way, as Africans, we won't feel used. I think that's a good way of looking at it, right?
Okay, so I guess to wrap up this discussion, I do want to ask, given that Black History Month, the theme is health and wellness, right? Not just how Black culture and Black people have contributed to health and wellness, but also how they, as a community, treat health and wellness as well, right? So do you think that this history of exploitation of Black bodies impacts the way in which Black people interact with the healthcare system?
Okay.
So I was reading somewhere, and they were doing a test, and they were saying they had like 40 Black doctors and 40 white doctors, and they were saying there's prejudice in the health sector, and even in the types of medicine that they do, the type of therapy, pre-treatment, and all that. If you're darker, you're given harsher medicine. That's what they're saying. The pre-treatment is almost never there. Almost never there. So the white man, like the primary healthcare, they'll give you that, but like the add-ons, the bonus, it's more. It leans more towards the white man, because they're saying race has a thing to do with that as well. I think our bodies also react differently.
I don't know about that. You might want to Google it. You might want to Google it.
Okay.
Google it.
Check it and fact check me. But I think our bodies are kind of different. One example is the COVID thing. Africa was not as affected. I mean, maybe this might be misinformation, but I use that to base my argument upon that. So yeah, in the health sector, there's a bit of an imbalance, but we're seeing more Black practitioners going into the field, and maybe again, that's a way of solving this imbalance. And Black people, we have this thing where Black people do not trust their fellow black people, right? So as black people, we are
want to
also
go to
creating.
India for
You'll go to
Mensi,
India.
did you what?
In America, and I'll say this.
You're not wrong.
There's some black people in America. They're saying that he has a Jewish lawyer, a Jewish banker, a Jewish doctor, and he's a black person. He's prominent. He's actually one of these rich celebrities.
Wow.
And he was being challenged as a rich black person. Why not give that job
To another
successful- Yeah.
black person, so that you're creating your community, you're
Yes,
building
you
your
do.
building
Yeah.
wealth within.
until we learn to trust ourselves and our own kind, we will always have these imbalances in everything, finance sector, education, and
good point.
we only have ourselves to blame also.
I would disagree that it's about having ourselves to blame. I definitely think like power structures and police and all that stuff plays a role in why we distrust each other. But
Yeah.
different conversation or different time. Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that. Different conversation. We'll take this off screen. GW?
Okay, I'll try put my thoughts more into a concept of like wellness in community. I think we all remember like when we were young, the idea of sitting down as a family to have a meal, you know, having your family prayer, even small functions when all your cousins come over, and there's just a certain sense of wellness that comes from sharing and being together.
Yeah.
Or I'll even speak onto like, you get hurt when you're playing outside. Mom says, have you drunk hot water? And like, just drink hot water, you'll be fine. And you know, just, it sounds silly, but somehow that hot water, it helps.
works, it's
The headache
magic.
went. And those other small things that our moms or the people who take care of us would do, that would sit in that, I would say, realm of wellness for me. You know, when you're told that we're going to church all together, we're going to pray, you leave there feeling like, yeah, I'm a bit more well in that sense of community. I feel like that's something that the African culture has really held strong up till today. And I think it's something that should be celebrated even more as we bring up the next generation, like, you know, ahead of us.
I think as a final comment, I do want to remind everyone that because we have like almost, as you were right, like you have different healthcare systems for people of color versus white people, as a community of color, we've had to come up with our own healthcare solutions. It's why like Vapor Rub or Vicks is just used in my household for everything.
Yeah.
Anytime I get a cold, it's Dawa. Like it's not even hospital, it's Dawa without fail,
This is not a
right?
sponsored ad, by
It's
the way.
not, it's not. But the point is like,
Yes, yeah.
but the point is we've had to come up with our own solutions to service our own needs, and it's because of everything we've talked about today. It's because we don't trust each other, it's because you don't trust the systems, because we don't trust our doctors. So be mindful of that as you take care of yourself and take care of each other. We'll be back shortly.
Welcome back. Now, to tie in all this talk about Black history, we decided to have a bit of a question time, just to hear our thoughts on what we think Black history means to the rest of the world. So the experience in America, the experience in Europe, UK, against the experience that we have here as Africans. Is Black History Month something that we should also be celebrating? And yeah, so what are your thoughts, guys?
Can I start?
Please.
I don't think Black History Month is something that we should do, simply because if you look at the context in which Black history was created, it was designed to be a very particular time to recognize Black culture, because every other day in the year is white history. Then you have 1 month. We'll take this off camera. Okay, but then you have this 1 month that's just dedicated to just explaining and celebrating the best of Black people and best of Black culture. Whereas in Africa, every day is Black history. Every day we're living our own history. Every day we're telling, for the most part, we get to tell our own stories. So I don't think we have that need for Black History Month as it's been conceived of in the West. What do you think?
Okay. Number one, I don't think Black History Month as it is means anything to me as an African. That's their own thing. As a Kenyan, it's none of my business. Number two, do I think Black History Month should continue to exist? No. Because when you do that, you're boxing yourself to that 1 month, like you're saying. Just now, everyone else will just say, but we just finished Black History Month last month. That's enough for you. As Americans, I even think the term African American is wrong in itself, because you guys are not African Americans. You guys are Americans who happen to be Black. Because now when black people say they're African American, okay, so Africa is not a country, it's a continent.
You're
belong?
Right. By the way,
you don't belong anywhere, right?
You're right.
So an Asian, there's Chinese American,
Japanese,
there's Japanese,
Korean,
they can
Indian,
they can go back to Japan, they can go back to Irish Americans, they can go back to Ireland. You guys are not, you guys are Americans. Leave it at that. Take away Black History Month, let it just be appreciation. Every day is just another American day, not white month, but it's just America. Just celebrate being Americans and let it be. And I think the term African American did not exist until the 80s or 70s when Jesse Jackson coined it, right? So it's a made-up word, and you box yourself in like a small group of African Americans, whereas you should just be Americans. I don't hear many. Did Biden say he's Irish American or something? No, he's just an American. So Barack Obama is not African American. Barack Obama is American, and that's it. I don't know where I was going, but that's my point.
Okay, I'll try first put it in two pieces, a statement and then a question for you guys.
Okay.
The statement more so like, I was reading something recently about how the diaspora like around the world is largely from, like slave trade. And basically every black person which is not in Africa is alumni, more or less. Either way that the story,
Alumni, I like
the
it.
story comes, from motherland, like Mother Africa. Whether or not we have shared those experiences of their slavery or etc., it still comes from home, which is here. That's just a statement. The question is, when you say we're boxing it in and that we should, remove Black history, how then do you pass down the story to the future generations when the system is designed to erase that part of you? You know what I mean? Like the school books, all the education material that people usually get from schools is a watered down version of what the Black history experience was for them. So that month, I think, is important to pass down just the story to your children so they never forget that this is still a part of me and what our ancestors came through or went through.
And so the only way you can pass down that information is in February.
I would say it's in February, but the month, a dedicated time. It doesn't have to be February. It's a dedicated time for people to have that sense of remembrance.
So actually, believe it or not, I kind of agree with you on how we might need to abolish Black History Month, because as it currently stands, Black History Month right now is basically slavery and oppression. That's all that we talk about, or that's all Americans talk about. They talk about Abraham Lincoln, they talk about Frederick Douglass, they talk about sports and all these things, as opposed to really discussing what the Black experience is like today and how all of these things led to the current Black experience as it is. It's very rooted in a sanitized history. For example, when they learn about MLK, they learn that he was a freedom fighter, they learn he was a pacifier, they learn he was a great orator, but they don't learn that he was a socialist. He had very leftist views, because that does not align with the main narrative. So if you are to abolish Black History Month, can it at least be replaced with something that can stand on its own 2 feet? Something that is not relying upon traditional history in order to get its legitimacy, for want of a better word.
Okay. I guess that's a good place to conclude today's episode. Thank you for joining us on Work in Progress. We'll be with you again next week. Bye.
See ya.